Have you ever seen something evolve itself so perfectly that it ended up on the road to extinction? Not Nokia, not humans. Do you think this is just an ordinary rock? Wrong. On the black market, it can sell for the price of a Maybach. Even crazier, Elon Musk reportedly drew inspiration from its armor structure and reduced rocket shell weight by 40%. Boeing also borrowed its spiral design to develop advanced turbofan technology. So, who exactly is this creature, and what's its story? It is a supreme ocean ruler that dominated the seas for 300 million years. Let's first talk about the Ammonites family background. Although it looks like a snail, they're not even distant relatives. At best, they belong to the same phylum. Though both are mollusks, it definitely isn't from the soft and harmless crowd. Octopuses, squids, and cuttlefish, the ocean's toughest predators, are all its close relatives, and its size was especially impressive. It could weigh up to 1,500 kilograms, with shells reaching to meters in diameter, taller than most adults. Among mollusks, it was truly a legendary existence. Anyone would have to call it the king of ammonites. Most famous of all was its beautiful spiral shell. Think it was just a simple protective shell? Wrong again. This was cutting-edge ocean technology from 200 million years ago. The top-tier version rivaled modern nuclear submarines. It was a luxury vehicle built from aragonite crystal. Although only as thin as an eggshell, it was incredibly tough. Even a mosasaur with tremendous bite force could break its own teeth trying to crush it. And even when damaged, it could repair itself. But that's not the end of the story. When scientists first cut open an ammonite fossil, they were stunned to find it wasn't solid inside. Instead, it was divided into countless tiny chambers, using a siphuncle to regulate gas and liquid ratios. It could control buoyancy with ease. It could rise and sink almost at will. Even diving into the deep ocean, it wouldn't be crushed by pressure. Its design amazed architects and mathematicians alike. It also had a specialized siphon jet nozzle, allowing it to propel itself by expelling water, reaching speeds of over 40 centimeters per second. The ballast tank principle used in modern submarines was something ammonites had already mastered 200 million years ago. They were truly prehistoric engineering geniuses. Humans are merely latecomers copying their homework. They never could have imagined that their fossils, 200 million years later, would teach humans how to build submarines. Old textbooks once described ammonites as slow-moving drifters of the sea, claiming they simply floated wherever currents took them. A harmless little creature, or so people thought. But in 2026, neutron imaging research completely overturned that conclusion. Ammonites were anything but passive. They were heavily armed marine predators, so fierce that even they would fear themselves. Their scissor-like beaks could easily crush crustaceans. Their bite force was immense, and their radula, covered with microscopic teeth, worked like a conveyor belt, dragging prey straight into their mouths. Not exactly a polite eater, but their overpowered abilities didn't stop there. They were classic semmelporous animals, producing millions of eggs in a single spawning event. The hatched larvae drifted near the ocean surface, surviving on plankton. This overwhelming numbers strategy helped them survive 3 mass extinctions. Even if 99% of adult ammonites died, the species could quickly recover as long as the larvae remained. A perfect example of preserving the seed of survival. Their survival buffs were maxed out. Paleontologists even found bite marks from juvenile mosasaurs on ammonite fossils. It's not hard to imagine that mother mosasaurs use ammonites as training targets for their young. That level of prestige was unmatched in the prehistoric oceans. By sheer capability alone, they became the ultimate training dummy of the seas. But by the end of the dinosaur age, during the late Cretaceous, the ammonite family entered an uncontrollable phase of diversification. They evolved over 10,000 forms, and their descendants became increasingly bizarre. Some abandoned the traditional streamlined shell, curling into shapes like pretzels, while others bent into sharp sickle-like forms. They specialized in taking unusual evolutionary paths. Their strange designs allowed them to spin in place like marine centrifuges. One rotation could sweep up huge amounts of plankton, pushing feeding efficiency to the extreme. They outcompeted rivals through unconventional strategies. But what they never anticipated was that brought the mighty Ammonite Empire to a tragic end. The day after the impact, dust filled the sky, blocking out the sunlight. The plankton at the ocean surface was wiped out completely. Ammonite larvae instantly lost their only food source. They starved to death, and to make matters worse, acid rain caused by the impact poured into the oceans. The seawater's pH changed dramatically, directly attacking the fragile calcium carbonate shells of ammonite larvae. Under this double blow, ammonites had no chance to survive. Within just a few months, they were completely wiped out. Meanwhile, their distant cousin, the nautilus, remained alive and thriving. Its offspring lived in the deep sea, surviving without sunlight and feeding only on marine debris. As a result, they narrowly escaped the catastrophe. Nature is cruel, yet also fair. Both were cephalopods, living in the same ocean. Facing the same disaster, the ordinary one became a living fossil, while the most perfectly evolved one was completely exterminated. Although ammonites disappeared, they left the world to priceless gifts. One was their structural wisdom, which helped advance aerospace and military technology. The other was their fossils. By studying the size of ammonite fossils, geologists can accurately date fossils of other species with minimal error. With their cold remains, they measure Earth's history, earning the title of the Prehistoric Ocean's Living Calendar. They believed their shells were flawless, and that perfect evolution would allow them to live forever. But today, ammonites have become nothing more than cold stones, lying quietly across the world. Those spirals that perfectly follow the golden ratio still shine from within the rock. Their intricate suture patterns look just like sophisticated circuits, as if they are quietly telling future generations that even after hundreds of millions of years, I'm still the coolest creature in the prehistoric ocean. When I finished writing the script for this video, a frightening question suddenly came to mind. As humans, have we also entered an evolutionary dead end? Most people today no longer rely on exercise and healthy lifestyles to extend their lives, but instead depend on medical technology. If that's the case, are we going against the laws of natural evolution, abandoning natural selection and preserving every inferior gene?